If you're anything like the Xbox On team, you've likely booked this week off to play endless rounds of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. But if I can tear you away from that island of death for just a few minutes, I've got loads of new deals and releases to tell you about. We'll kick off with the deals. As always, these require an Xbox Live Gold subscription to enjoy the savings, and the deals run until the 18th of December. Let's get going. We had lots of fun with the Surge when it released earlier in the year. It's often described as Dark Souls with robot suits. As in Souls, you can't just rush in and mash buttons. Every fight feels a bit like a robotic dance of death. What helps give it a flavour of its own is its dismemberment system. You can target specific limbs during combat. Focus enough on one limb and you can chop it off, letting you secure that piece of equipment as loot. I love the idea of looking at enemies and making a mental shopping list of which bits of their body you want to take home. It gives the game a unique feel of its own, which combined with that 60% saving makes this well worth picking up. Mega Man 11 was just announced for Xbox One, so why not start training early with this collection of the Blue Bomber's early hits? The Legacy Collection collects the first 6 Mega Man games into one of the most hardcore gaming packages imaginable. I'll admit that I've not yet completed any of them, but I can still appreciate the beautiful HD ports in this package. If you're feeling especially brave, you can take on the new Challenge mode, which remixes chunks of the game into brutal time trial activities. There's an achievement for getting a gold medal in every challenge that we think is one of the hardest achievements on Xbox, so good luck with that. This is one of the cheapest deals we've seen in a while. Refunct is a super mellow first-person platformer. A bit like Mirror's Edge with all the threat removed. You just climb and jump around an abstract landscape, collecting beams of light that cause the world to shift and grow. The whole thing can easily be completed in under an hour, but it's super relaxing. I think of it as the virtual equivalent of a stress ball. You can jump in and feel your woes melt away. Also good for a very easy 1000 achievement points. Not bad for the price of a cup of coffee. Dex went under the radar when it came out last year, but it's a neat game for fans of shady cyberpunk mysteries. You know the deal: bleak futuristic city, a band of spunky young hackers, and the evil corporations out to stop them. It plays like a 2D version of Deus Ex, where missions are reasonably open-ended depending on what skills you've invested in. You can choose to try and talk your way through obstacles, or just run around punching people in the face. Really, the appeal lies in submerging yourself in this seedy world and seeing what trouble you can get yourself into. As much as I love me the sophisticated thrills of Forza 7, every once in a while you hanker for something a little sillier. And Flatout 4 is very silly. It's the kind of game where you can drive your car through a pile of logs without even flinching, watching objects bounce around the track as you speed towards the next bit of exploding scenery. And I am very taken with the stunt modes, where you can build up your speed in a car before flinging the driver out of his seat and into giant obstacle courses. You can't do that in Forza, so why not strap in while the game has a 60% discount? There are certain game designers you just have to trust. Frederick Reynau is the creator of Alone in the Dark and one of the earliest pioneers of the survival horror genre. So it was very exciting when he returned to his roots with Too Dark. You play as a detective trying to save children from various psychopaths, relying on dwindling supplies to sneak your way through a twisted world. You actually save your game by smoking, but if you save too much, you develop a smoker's cough, which can draw attention from the bad guys. It's these kind of hilarious little touches that make this such a unique game, well worth investing for a tiny price. If you're more on the lookout for new games to get stuck into, then look no further, my friend. Here's a roundup of all the games coming to Xbox One this week. This is the big one as far as we're concerned, with the PC sensation making its exclusive console debut on Xbox One. If you've been living under a rock this year, then PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, or PUBG as it's fondly known, is an epic battle to the death. 100 people jump out of a plane into a deserted island where they must scavenge for weapons and equipment to help murder the other 99 contestants. It's like the Hunger Games, only with less Jennifer Lawrence and more dudes running around in just their pants. As the round goes on, the area of play shrinks, with a giant electric wall slowly closing in, forcing battles to grow more intense as everyone is penned in. It somehow manages to be both the most exciting and most terrifying thing you've ever played. If your heart isn't racing as you enter the last 10 remaining survivors, then you may need to legally declare yourself dead. It's the kind of game where no 2 rounds are ever the same, and you emerge with all kinds of wonderful war stories to share. PUBG is part of the game preview program, which means it's an evolving early access title. What you're playing now is not the final game, but will be updated over the coming months with new features. Getting in on day 1 means you can watch the game blossom in front of your eyes. And if you play it on Xbox One X, you benefit from extra enhancements too. It's currently the biggest game in the world. Hop in for a round or 2 and find out why. Okami is one of the greatest adventure games ever made, and a true original. There are hints of Zelda in the way the adventure unfolds, but its paper-like visual style and influences taken from Japanese mythology gives it a feel entirely of its own. You play as a wolf who, thanks to a magic ink brush, can paint directly onto the world. This has several uses. Certain brushstrokes have magical effects, such as growing lily pads to cross water or planting bombs to uncover secrets in the world. Using the power of the brush to solve puzzles and breathe life back into the landscape feels like genuine video game magic. Enter combat and your brushstroke becomes the slashes used to chop at enemies. There's never been a control system quite like it. Discovering it all over again in HD has been a real treat. And if you play the game on Xbox One X, you can enjoy it in all that glorious 4K. If you're looking for an epic adventure to eat up your time this Christmas, Okami comes highly recommended. Looking at Night in the Woods' cute animal cast, you might think this is a game for kiddies, but you couldn't be more wrong. Yes, they may be adorable animals, but they share very human concerns. They're stuck in unfulfilled lives where bad decisions alienate those around them, and friendships are fragile things you can easily mess up. There's also a shoplifting minigame, which is pretty intense considering you play as a cat. This strange adventure game casts you as a college dropout who has to return to live with her parents and reconnect with her hometown friends. There's light platforming as you explore the rooftops of the town for hidden backstories, and you fill out the rest of your time reminiscing about the good old days and working out which characters to spend time with. The writing is brilliant, the art is gorgeous, and it's full of surprises. Go pick up a copy today. Just don't shoplift it, okay? I also need to show a little love to Ultimate Chicken Horse, mainly because it's called Ultimate Chicken Horse. I mean, how can a game with a name like that not be worth your time? Luckily, this is also a fantastic game in its own right. The idea is this. It's a party platforming game where before every round you get to place traps and obstacles along a 2D course. Once you've placed all those tricky parts, all the players have to attempt your level. The aim is to build a level that is easy enough for you to complete, but hard enough to screw everyone else over. It's a devious game of risk-reward and one sure to lead to lots of festive dead arms over the holidays. And there we have it, all the latest deals and games to keep you busy this week. Let us know in the comments if you've managed to tear yourself away from PUBG, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date with all things Xbox. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye!